All right, so I am on my way back home from a class I taught in Visalia, California last night, and something interesting happened that I want to talk to you about. So I have a pretty difficult class, technical class I'm teaching, and at one point I have a schematic that we need to work through. This is a Chrysler with the PowerNet architecture, and we're talking about the starting system. How does it work? You know, you have 3 relays, we have modules, and so we have the schematic we're trying to work through, and there's a lot of stuff happening. So there's a group of guys up front. Now there's about 50 people. There's about a table up front of guys they're right on it. They are following this, they understand it. As I'm asking questions and trying to get interaction, they are there. But I'm scanning the room, because you always want to scan the room and look at every single person in the room. You want to at least get eye contact with once in the class. So as I'm scanning the room, I can see that over here there's a whole bunch of guys that are just, they're interested, they're listening, but they're not getting it. They have questions, and so I need to deal with that. And so what do? Well, I'm not anchored to a laptop sitting somewhere. I've got a tablet in my hand. And so I got the tablet in my hand, and it's connected wirelessly to my projector, and so I could walk out to different places and still have my presentation with me. Now, if you have a laptop sitting somewhere and you're walking around with a clicker, it's not the same, because you know what happens. The guy walks around the room and he's got the laser pointer, right? And so he can move around and talk to people, but when he wants to refer to something on a slide, he's pointing his laser clicker and he's doing this, right? And so if you're doing that, stop. Because think of what you're putting people through. They're trying to find the dot on the screen, and then as you're doing this, they're moving their head around, trying to follow it. Just don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Anyway, so I'm mobile, and I have my tablet in my hand. I can take my finger and I can draw on the tablet and zoom, and I can do all kinds of stuff. So I have this group of guys in front of me who are interactive, they're engaged, but over there's guys who aren't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over, I'm going to reposition myself in the room, I'm going to walk over and stand in front of the other guys. And so now I've done a couple things. I am now putting it more of my attention without, I'm not staring people down, but just my presence moving has changed the dynamic in the class. And now these guys have the opportunity, they can see that they have a better opportunity of asking a question. Now, what you're not going to do, or you shouldn't do, is once you've repositioned yourself and you want to engage these guys, you don't say, dude, what's the voltage here? We just had this, what's the voltage? Or don't call people out. Just be available. You've moved. You are now more available to these guys, and so just give them the opportunity to speak. When you ask a question, look at them first, and just kind of, don't stare somebody down, but kind of be looking in a direction, and you're more likely to get those guys to interact. And if you see any movement, something going on in their mouth trying to engage, encourage it. Smile at them and maybe draw them in, because for a lot of people, speaking out in a big group, public setting like that, for a lot of guys, that is terrifying. So don't make it worse. So anyway, so I did that, and suddenly, with a little bit of non-verbal coaxing, I got them to start asking questions and interacting. And now I've got not just this other group interacting, but now all the other people in the whole place are seeing that, wow, this is, he's not just going to focus on the guys in the front who have all the answers. And so from there, I'm going to try to look at everybody all the time as much as I can. But now I'm seeing more interaction from the people on the outer edges. And so that's what you want. If there's no interaction, you're going to get very little learning. And just as a rule of thumb, typically the guy talking is the one that's learning. And so we want to encourage our technicians to engage with the trainer, and that's how real learning occurs. So I got to get back on the road. Next week I'm going to be in New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and I am praying it's not going to snow because I'm a California guy, grew up by the beach. I think I drove in the snow 2 or 3 times when I was a teenager, so I may go there and get lost in a snow drift, and you'll never have to put up with me again.